yoga. So I forgot to mention, everybody go grab their rolled towel. So this is just a kitchen towel rolled with 3 rubber bands on it. So I think you all have this in your yoga kit, but if you don't have it handy, go get it because we're going to not start with that, but early on we're going to do our typical massaging through the spine with a rolled towel. Okay, so once you get settled with your props, notice, your energy body today. So a lot of times when I wake up in the morning and I don't have an immediate sense of gladness in my heart, if it's kind of one of those days where you're like, oh, the day, I have to do the day, right? I'm sure we all have those days, right? When you don't feel like you want to just jump up and spring into the day. Sometimes a gentle practice can be very helpful on those days to kind of guide you into brightness in your body and in your heart and in your mind. So we're going to try to do a little bit of that coaxing open of the heart today. Nothing extreme, but more of a gentle practice that kind of coaxes our body into freedom. Okay, so sit up straight and tall and take a moment to drop your awareness down into your body. And whatever you're feeling, whether you have a ton of energy or not a lot of energy, or if you're feeling elated and happy or a little down today, whatever the state you're in, see if you can come to a place of allowing and accepting what is. And this could be a state of the mind or a state of the heart or even a state of the body. You might have some sense of deep well of energy or freedom. You also might be experiencing some restriction or constriction or pain. So whatever you are experiencing as you check in, make room, make space for what is. Can you feel that sense of contentment? Santosha, one of those niyamas we've talked about recently, of feeling okay with what is, not needing to run away or shift or change or grab onto. Drop your awareness now into your breath. See what it feels like to have a fullness without strain. Your breathing. Is your belly able to move with your breath? Are your ribs able to move with your breath? When you feel ready, place your palms together at your heart. And with this centering of just being aware of body and breath, turn this focus into an intention. And it can just be anything at all, whatever it is that you would like to explore in your practice, that you'd like to hold steady in your practice. Okay, release your hands. And let's find our way onto our mat. So bring your little rolled towel with the rubber bands with you. And first, let's just begin on our back like we always do. So we're finding our way onto the floor. Take a moment to just experience your body lying down. So notice the shift of everything, right? Everything shifts when you lie down versus when you stand up or sit up. So notice how things resettle in your body, How does your brain feel lying down? How do your joints feel? How do the fluids in your body feel? How does your breath feel? All right. So let's reach the arms up overhead. Let's stretch a little bit. So reaching right side, reaching left side, just getting into a sense of awakening, breathing. And then as you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying side side. Just feel your whole body, not just your legs, but your head slosh a little bit left and right too. All right, and then release that. Let's circle the knees. Okay, so holding on to the knees, feeling that sense of ease across your sacrum, heaviness in your skull. Go the other way. All right, and then the third way, where we open our knees away from the midline and bring them back in toward the midline. Just getting aware of the hip joints, feeling into the freedom that's there or is not there. It just is what it is, and allow your body to be where it's at. Can we come into a place of deep acceptance of whatever you're experiencing? Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Start to move around your ankles and your toes, welcoming in the sensations. You know, when we get a new sensation in our body, it's kind of like welcoming that part of us home into the fold. And then change sides, left knee in, right leg long on the ground. Feel free to keep moving your feet about. That feels right to you. All right, and then reach your limbs, stretch out wide, far, expand, and on your exhale, draw your knees into your chest, pick up your head, give a little hug. Twice more, just enjoying that feeling of the supine cat-cow, where we get to expand into extension, and then we get to fold into flexion. Enjoy the waking of your spine. Enjoy connecting your breath and your body. And release your head down onto the ground. All right, feet are wide, and let's windshield wiper our knees left and right. Okay. So once you get started with the movements, turn your head in opposition of your knees. So you just get that feeling of a little bit of wringing out the spine. You can go nice and slow, or you can go a little faster, whichever feels happy in your body. And then we're going to roll over onto our right side. Bend your knees at a 90-degree angle, same with your hips. And then hands are together, stretched out from your chest. And then inhale, lift that left arm up and over behind you, so you stretch open your spine. And then back to center. Move with your breath. Twice more. Inhale, opening to the twist. Turn your head. Exhale and come back to center. One more time. Just feeling that freedom of your spine. And comes back. Come back to the other side. Okay, rolling over to your left. Knees are bent. You can always support your head if you need to. When you feel like you're ready, open up. Bring your hand back behind you. Maybe it touches the floor, maybe it doesn't. Come back to touch the palms. Let your head turn with your shoulder and with your spine. Enjoy the openness. Enjoy the mobility. Enjoy the breath. Notice if one side twisting feels a little bit more comfortable or natural than the other side. And release and come back. One more star. Exhale, knees into your chest. And lay your head back down. Legs are straight for a moment. So back to the Shavasana feeling. And just notice, we haven't even gotten up off our back yet, really. But notice if something has already changed within you. So you already have a deeper feeling of embodiment, of presence, of comfort and ease, of awareness. You know, what has changed even in the subtle little things that we've done. Okay, roll over onto your side. Get your little rolled towel with the rubber bands. Now, I know all of you have done this with me before, but I'll kind of walk you through it nonetheless. Okay, so we're going to start with this under our shoulder blades. Of course, I have a hood on my sweatshirt, so gotta move that out of the way. So you want to kind of on the top edge of your shoulder blades, so adjust. And you can start with your knees bent, your feet on the floor. I'm going to take my socks off because that helps me to have a little more grippy on the ground. And so first you want to rock the spine. So we're going to master that before we start adding arm movements in. So a lot of times when people get confused about this, they tend to just pelvic tilt, you know, where we kind of lift our pelvis up and then drop our pelvis down. See if you can keep the pelvis quiet and neutral. So when you push off your feet, sliding top to bottom, up, down, crown, tail, your spine is what's moving. So you're just rocking on that towel. And then once you got the movement well in your body, we're going to start adding the arms. So the palms are right over our chest to begin. This represents a little teeny flexion in the torso. And then we're going to lift our arms over our head to whatever place is comfy. We're still rocking. And this represents or, you know, moves us into a little bit of extension. And then back, hands over chest. And we're going to turn our head to the right and bring our arms over to the right, bringing a little bit of rotation into the spine. And then over to the other side, arms left, head turns left. Okay, so that's the general thing, flexion, extension, and rotation. Now we're going to move down a notch so that the bolster, the rolled towel is a little bit lower under our shoulder blades. So just follow your pathway. If you start to get fatigued in your quads, pay attention to how you're rocking. What are you doing? Can you lessen your effort? You know, it's kind of a little bit of a mastery to figure out the rocking of this pose. And once you do, it's just so joyous. It's such a great way to open up all the little nooks and crannies of your vertebrae, the little tiny muscles in between each vertebrae, your multifidus, as well as a lot of ligaments and tendons and fascia. So if you're feeling a little stuck in your breath or in your mobility or in your heart or even in your mind, sometimes just doing something very gentle and simple like this can create some pretty profound shifts. Rocking in any way that you rock, whether it's side or forward back or top bottom like we're doing now, is very, very soothing to the nervous system. It upregulates the parasympathetic system, that restful, part of us, the opposite of the fight or flight. And this is one of the ways that we can enhance that quality of well-being within us, sense of ease. Now, if you're going speedy and you've already gotten to your low back, then you might notice that you lose the yumminess, that you kind of lose the sensation. I'm not anywhere near there. I'm still in my mid back. Okay, so there's no rush. And so if you're still in your shoulder blades, great. If you're all the way down to your sacrum, great. Wherever whatever the pace is that you naturally go. But if you are in your low back, try bringing your knees to your chest and just rock with your knees toward your chest so that you can get the feeling of opening up some of those lower vertebrae and some of the musculature and fascial structures there. How is your breath? You might notice when you get to around the band of your diaphragm that something shifts and you start to shift how you're breathing. So if that happens to you, enjoy. And this is such an easy way to give yourself a little self massage. I think one of the trappings that we all get into is not taking a lot of time for restorative practices. And I don't just mean yoga, I just mean in general. But there's so much in the yoga toolbox that is available to help us with restoring our energy, feeding us when we feel depleted, bringing ease when we feel anxious, helping us connect and be deeply present with ourselves. All right, so if you've gone past your low back, okay, then you might be getting onto your sacrum. I don't know where you are. I'm just approaching my low back now. Maybe you're still in your thoracic spine. You might have taken a detour because you found a spot that was like amazing and you're like, oh, I'm just going to stay right here for a while. So let your body trail, take the path less traveled. You don't have to, it's not a race to get through the trail. Okay, so I think everyone knows the feeling of going hiking and looking at your feet the whole time, right? We look up, notice what's happening in your body. So if you are getting to your sacrum, your feet come back down onto the ground. And when you get to your tail, you might notice that you want to straighten your legs and just rock off your heels, flexing and pointing your toes. Okay, so experiment with how you want to be. And the joy of doing yoga at home is if you're much faster than me, maybe you're going back to a place that you felt you really enjoyed. Maybe you're moving on to something else. If you're slower than me, then you don't have to feel like you have to rush. You can just, stay moving at your own pace. You're not behind. I usually try to have like 3 spots in my low back around there. And pay attention when you're doing this to the places that feel really good, where you're like, oh, that is just X marks the spot. Pay attention to why, what's happening in your body. When you get to your sacrum, try returning to the arm positions, even though it may not feel as profound as when the bolster was under your thoracic spine. It's still a messaging system of that flexion, extension, and rotation in the spine. Breathing well. Notice how, especially after moving this underneath your spine up higher, now that we're getting lower, notice if your breath feels a little freer. All right, so now I'm at the bottom edge of my sacrum. So I'm straightening my legs and I'm going to keep my heels on the ground. I'm going to kind of push off my heels to make my spine still do the rocking. And you might notice, that you may not be proficient in the rocking throughout the whole spine. There might be places where you get a little awkward, and that's okay. And sometimes at the very end, I like to just feel that bolster underneath my sacrum, and I bring my knees back to my chest and pick my head up and just let the back of my spine open. And then while we kind of all sync back up, and you take your time if you're still doing this, but if you're done, put your legs straight one last time before we get up. And feel into what is awake in your body now. You might have a little tenderness, just like a little workout has just happened. But pay attention to your awareness of your spine, your awareness of your ribs in your spine and your breathing. See if you can pay attention to your diaphragm. Notice your nervous system state. Let's roll over onto your side and we're going to come all the way up to stand. So we haven't gone to our usual cat-cow. And it might be a little odd to stand up. It's kind of like when you take ice skates off and you feel like you're still ice skating. You might feel like you still want that rocking sensation in your body. But as you come to stand, just notice, close your eyes if you want, open them if you want. Notice the state of your nervous system. Notice if you feel like you're a little more attached to the ground, if you have a weightiness to you that is comfortable. All right, take a deep breath. Lift your arms up, open your chest, expand outward and fold forward. Let your neck relax and bobble. And we'll start to get into the rest of our body beyond our spine. So feel the knees soften so that you're in a deep bend. And allow the spine to kind of move away from the pelvis where we have this feeling of dangling the spine. And then you might want your feet a little bit wider for this. Okay? But we're gonna, take like loose monkey arms and move the blocks out of the way and just rock a little bit into your right foot and then rock a little bit into your left foot. Swing, the head is relaxed. All right, now take your feet even wider if they're not there already to the edges of your mat. Bend your knees a little bit, let your head relax. Then grab your blocks and come to a halfway lift with your legs nice and wide like this. So feet are wide on the mat, hands are on the blocks, extend the spine, start to stretch open the backs of the legs. Now while we're here, so you can have the box on any height that you want. Now let go of your core for a minute and just allow your organs to fall away from your spine and rest in the hammock of your abdominal muscles that are nice and relaxed. See if you can let your diaphragm move. All right, and then heel toe your feet a little closer so they're more neutral, hip width apart. Bend down again, knees bent, relax the head. A normal halfway lift now, extending the spine. And then melt and fold. Step your left foot back, right foot is forward, lunge. Okay, open up through your chest. Find your breath. And let's start to bend and straighten the front knee. Feel into that range of motion in your hamstrings. Let them slide and open. See what your knees feel like, your hips. How's the breath? Are you still able to move your diaphragm well? All right, come to a lunge. Round your legs. Let's lift ourselves up into a crescent. So as you bring your arms anywhere they're going, so up or out, return to that big open chest, the feeling of your thoracic spine opening. Maybe a cactus arm if it feels good. Maybe interlace your hands behind your back if it feels good. So play with the posture. And then hands come down, back foot comes forward, fold again. Take your feet wide to the edges of the mat and rock again. So you might want to move your blocks out of the way. Bending your left knee, coming onto that side, and then moving over to the right. Knees are supporting you by bending, so we're not locking anything out. Let the upper body be snake-like. And then pause again, finding that sense of a halfway lift with your feet wide, belly free. All right, and then heel toe your feet in, halfway lift, neutral legs. Exhale and fold. Let's step our right foot back now. So the lunging with our left foot in front. Open the chest here. Let's start to move your body here, bending and straightening the front leg, chin toward chest if you want, toes up if you want. So just find the range that's available in your body. The most important thing you're doing is feeling and breathing. So we're not having judgments. We're accepting what is, whatever the limitations are, whatever the freedoms are. We're accepting, we're not grasping. Find the fluid breath. All right, come into the lunge. Ground your legs, rising up when you feel ready to do so. Arms to the sky or anywhere else. Okay, you don't have to have your arms come to the sky. Feel the rib cage expand for breath. Okay, open up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit if it feels nice. Experiment with anything you want to do with the arms. Okay, find your way into your breath. Enjoy what you're feeling in your body. And then we're going to take our hands down onto the ground and find our way to dog pose. So as we find dog pose, notice, I think this is the first dog pose we've done. Yeah. So let's just enjoy. Okay. Pedal your feet. Move your hips around. Whatever feels really good in the body. It's such a quintessential pose of grounding and opening, surrendering and breathing, feeling that sense of support and space. Full breaths. When you feel ready, go ahead and bring your body forward into a plank. Steadiness in your stance. Feeling that sense now that no more freedom really in the core. We have a lot more stability. So our breath is moving sideways, more into our thoracic body. Ground your knees, come to the floor. Roll the shoulders a few times. Hopefully you're feeling open there from the work we've already done. Inhale for a cobra pose. Chest is big and broad, and exhale and come back down. Repeat with the breath, rising on the inhale and lowering on the exhale. It's not about how far we go, it's how we go far. So don't worry about getting huge in your postures. Just be where you are. Come back up onto all fours. Swish the spine around. And then find child's pose. As your hips come back toward the heels, decide how far apart you want your knees to be. Maybe you like them really far. Maybe you like them nestled a little closer. Feel the breath travel down the spine. Okay, come up onto all fours. Okay, reach the left arm all the way in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. A deeper twist. Breathing well. Okay, inhale, bring that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Second side. Find your breath. Try not to go anywhere without your breathing. Arm back up. Hand comes down onto the ground. Have your two blocks in front of you. Put your elbows on the blocks. Adjust your knees for a child's pose that's comfortable. Palms stay together. Drop back, thumbs toward your spine. Allow your side bodies to stretch. Get your triceps to open up. Breathing deep. Lift under the armpits. Stretch your hips away from your elbows. And then come back out of there onto your hands and your knees. And here we get to start our cat-cow, which we haven't done yet. Okay, so normally we do this very early in our practice, which is a beautiful time to do it. Any time is a good time for cat-cow, even when you can even do this in bed before you get out of bed. Any time of day is a good time of day for a cat-cow. All right, wag your tail or move your spine, however you want. Okay. Sit up for a moment. However you want to sit, on your feet or on a block or in cross-legged. And just notice, we haven't done anything super strenuous. We haven't done anything super detailed. Well, we have actually, but just notice what the simple movements of the body when we breathe and we're present in our body, the gifts. Do you feel different than when we began? How? What has changed? Let your breath move deeply and well through you. The exhales come out slow and steady. Come on to our back. And let's go ahead and find a strap. All right, so support under your head if you need it. We're going to do the Supta Padangusthasana sequence. So first is right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Let your head get heavy. Enjoy all the freedom that we've created in the thoracic body for good breathing. And then when you feel ready, wrap the strap around your right foot and lift that foot straight up in the air. Now, before we get static, let's come into a half happy baby and then press up through your foot. And then a half happy baby and press up through your foot. And then one more time, half happy baby, and then straighten your leg. Settle your shoulders. Have enough give on the strap where your upper body is nice and relaxed. The head is heavy. Feel the angles in your hips and pelvis. Can you move your femur bone away from your shoulder? Can you ground your femur bone into the earth? Do you have a sense of stability through your spine and pelvis? Let your head relax. It wants to do work. So do your shoulders. Let them go. Flex and point your toe while your toes, plural, while you're here. So pointing up and pulling down. Heel up, toes down. Heel down, toes up. Keeping the strap hooked around that arch. Then relax to neutral again. Shoulders soft. We're going to open the right foot out to the right. So we're holding the strap in the right hand. Pay attention to what you're feeling. So if your knee is at all bothered by this, adjust. You can bend your knee, you can come less into the pose, whatever feels right. Stretch through the big toe and the inner heel. Keep the heaviness of your head. Ground through the left side of your body. Try not to tip to the right. Where's holding tension that does not need to? Where might you need to put a little effort to stabilize you so you're not collapsing over to the side? Your head and neck and shoulders don't really have to do much to keep the stability. It's really about your pelvis, your thigh, and your core that's holding you in place. Big breaths. Lift that leg straight up in the air. Change so that we're holding the strap with the left hand now. Before you move over to the side, take the heel of your right hand right into the top of your thigh and press away and feel the space. Breathe into the space. And keep that space as you cross the right leg over to the left. Don't go too far. So, we're not having a contest of who can get their foot on the ground. We want to be very kind to our spine and let this be more about what's happening in the pelvis and hip joint than it is about what's happening in the spine. Breathe into the length, crown to tail. Breathe into the length of both legs, stretching through the big toes and your heels. Let that outer hip open. And lift that leg back up in the air. Take the strap off and lower your leg down. Feel the difference in your two sides. Do you feel longer, more grounded in that right side? And then when you're ready, we're changing. I forgot to say on the other side that always your other leg that you're not working with, the knee can bend. So as you bring your left foot into the strap and up in the air, your right knee can be bent with your right foot on the floor, or your right leg can be straight. So find the way that's correct for your body for today. Might not be what yesterday's pose was about for you. So let yourself be where you are. Let's start with a couple of half happy baby poses. So dropping the knee and then pushing the leg up in the air. Dropping the knee and pushing the leg. How are you breathing? And now we're going to stay with that leg up. Okay. Grab onto the strap, have enough give where your shoulders are nice and melty. Your head is heavy. Feel into the leg, rise up through your foot, root down through your hip. Feel the hip move away from your shoulder. Heaviness in your shoulders and head. And then if you want, you can flex and point your toes here. So we're opening both the calf and the Achilles and the bottom of your foot, but also the front of your foot, the top of your foot, and the front of your shin. Keep checking in with your neck and shoulders and make sure they're not trying to take over. All right, and then when you feel ready, let's take the strap into the left hand. We're going to open the left leg out to the left while we stay grounded through the right side of our body. So a little bit of core. You know how we have that counter pose that's embedded in every posture. So maybe your navel can kind of hug toward the right hip a little bit, keeping you stable, and then check in with your neck and shoulders and make sure they're not doing all the work for the posture. Stretch out through the feet, check in with your left knee and make sure you're not tugging too hard at the attachments of the inner hamstrings and the inner thigh muscles at the knee. How's your breath? All right, let's lift that left leg back up in the air. We're going to take the strap into our right hand. heel of the left hand into the hip crease. Before you move that leg over to the right, press at the top of your thigh and notice whatever space you just created. Breathe into the space you just created. Your hip open. And then as you're ready, cross the left leg over to the right. It doesn't matter how low you go. It's not a contest to get to the floor. That's not the goal. The goal is not to get to the floor. The goal is to feel that stretch in your hips. So move your hip away from your shoulder. Try not to externally rotate your left femur bone. If anything, a little feeling of internal rotation. You won't really internally rotate, but if you move in that direction, you will get a deeper stretch. Keep the head and shoulders heavy on the ground. Notice your breathing. Stretch out through the big toe and inner heel, really both legs, but especially the left. We're going to lift that leg straight up in the air now, and we're going to join the right foot in with the strap. 2 feet up in the air, strap around both feet. Relax your shoulders. You can flex and point your toes or just keep them neutral, whatever feels good. Root your femur bones, feel the weight in your pelvis. All right, go ahead and relax. Put your feet on the ground. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. Turn your head in opposition of your knees. And then we're going to grab 1 or 2 blocks. You get to decide how high you want to be in a bridge pose. So you can either be 1 block low, you can be 1 block on the next height up. And I like this height, but I don't like the narrowness of the block. So sometimes I do this with 2 blocks. Sometimes I do it with the 2 blocks long ways right next to each other under my sacrum. So just experiment with what feels good to you, play around. And then if you want to have higher, stack 2 blocks, one right on top of the other. So they're across your sacrum and we're lifting our pelvis up onto the block. All right, so whatever height feels best to you. There's no right or wrong. It's not better to be one or another. It just is what it is for you. Now breathe here. Get your shoulders in a happy place. Let your neck be releasing. Feet are planted. You don't have to press real hard, but just feel the bottom of your feet. Let your body balloon open on your breath. Let your belly expand, not just up, but out. Let your ribs expand out and up and down. Let your exhales be full. All right, now we're going to take an inversion here. So you can still be on the height that you're at, or you can change. I was on 2 blocks. Now I'm going to lower down to 1 block because that's just my preferred way for this pose, but you might be different. So just experiment with what feels good of letting your legs be up in the air. Feel the weight come down onto your sacrum, your hips. Breathing deep. Knees into your chest, a little bit of traction for the spine. And then we're going to come off of the block, so feet on the ground, lift the hips, relax your pelvis down. Melt here for a moment. Maybe you'd like to windshield wiper your knees again. Maybe you'd like to come into a happy baby. So whatever feels good. We're going to find our way into our reverse pigeon pose with our foot on some support. Now, you might want to change your mind and do actual pigeon pose. So you do you. Okay, so there's three possibilities here. There's reverse pigeon pose, right foot on left knee with your left foot on a wall or a piece of furniture. There's thigh crossed over thigh, and you can bring your knees toward your chest and hold on. And there's also regular pigeon pose. So find what feels best for this moment. We're just opening up our hips, whatever pose you're doing. See if you can allow the spine to totally relax. So you don't have to round or hunker your spine or pull in your diaphragm. You can be nice and neutral. The head is relaxed. The shoulders are relaxed. Notice your pelvis. See if you can widen your sit bones. Between sides, take a moment to straighten your legs if you want to. And then we'll move into the second side. So remember, you can do the same pose, a different pose on this side, depending on how the flexibility is here. Now, a lot of times, like for instance, if you're in reverse pigeon pose, notice if your one hip wants to hike up over the other toward your shoulder. Notice if you want to tilt and have your body roll to one side or your hip roll to one side or the other. So just notice the ways in which we try to kind of get away from the stretch and see what you can do to just accept and allow for what is. And that might mean you need to change. So if it's a little more intense on the side and you're doing a reverse pigeon, you can move your body away from the wall or furniture a little bit more so the stretch is less deep. If you're in pigeon, you can always add or take away more support underneath your pelvis. Just do what feels good. Try to relax this posture as best as you can. Head and shoulders are relaxed. Breath is full. You're ready. You can come out of the pose. Stretch your legs if you're in pigeon pose. Maybe you want to go back to dog pose. Okay. And then everybody, let's find our way onto the ground. Now let's notice, this is a little bit of an unusual practice today. We've only done one standing pose, crescent lunge. We've only done one dog pose, one plank pose, one cobra pose. You know, a lot of the traditional things that we tend to do, like some of the standing poses, we've didn't do those today. So just pay attention. Notice that your practice has so much variety, that there's a subtlety to what the needs are in any given day. My hope for you working online, knowing that you're just by yourself, is that you can take little side eddies in the forest, that the practice doesn't have to look like what I'm presenting on any given day. It can look like whatever's needed for you any moment. Melt your body here. Feel the heaviness in your head. If there's anything you need for Shavasana, then take it. Okay, so if you need to twist your spine or a happy baby pose, or if you need some support, make any adjustments that are required. If you're at all cold, warmth is such a good thing for our nervous system. So get into that space of nurturing yourself with temperature, with cushions, any support your body needs. So as you settle, and that can look like many different things. You can even do Shavasana on your belly or on your side. So as you settle into the position that's right for you, let's return to your breathing. And into the heaviness of your limbs. Weight your head down, your shoulders relax. Now through the muscles in your face and skull. Let's begin to move into our breath. A little bit of movement in your body. Take your time. There's no rush. When you feel ready, you can come onto your side. To sit slowly, comfortably. And as you do so, as you get settled into your seat, notice what an hour of yoga does for you. Okay, so this gift of our practice of being embodied, present, treating ourselves with respect and care, regulating our breathing, nurturing our nervous system. How do you feel? Let's place our hands together at the heart. See if you can offer the gift of your practice. Send your energy to another. Namaste. Hope you have a blessed day.